Alright, here we go. We are going to go into Marsh Cave. I like the music in here. It's always been really cool. Let's take out this guy first. And then for the green slimes, physical attacks almost never do anything to them. Unless it's like a critical hit like that. Might actually kill it. Sweet. I didn't actually have to use MP. But yeah, the green slimes, they don't take physical damage, like hardly at all. Depending on how many hits you get on them with each character, it'll only do 1 damage per hit. Unless you get a critical like I did there. But the monks have like a very high critical rate. Alright, so there's some items we can get in here. And I'm sorry, I'm really bad at getting into tight spaces, especially when I'm running in games like these, but I just want this to go as quick as possible. I don't want it to be boring for you guys. Dagger, which we already have, so that's not going to help us much. Let's see, I think there's another room down here. Let's see if there's any items in there. Alright, so we just got out of that battle and leveled up again, so we're 19. Yeah, that's actually pretty high level for this part of the game. More gil, which will help us later, and broadsword, which I already have, even though I had to go and buy one because I accidentally sold it. Alright. Yeah, and I'm sorry I'm kind of skipping battles, but it'll make it go by faster. Because sometimes watching these like turn-based games like this, like the Final Fantasy games, can get kind of boring just watching the battles, and I feel like especially for this game, like the first one, they were pretty slow. So I don't want to bore you guys with all just like the random battles with the same enemies over and over and over again. I mean, I enjoy playing it that way, but I know a lot of people don't like to watch that. And I can understand that. So, yeah, I'm going to skip a lot of the battles, so. Alright. Especially because, like, in these dungeons, the encounter rate is really high for the most. Okay, I think, yeah, all of these are already open, because in this game, which they didn't do in a lot of the other games, there will be 2 chests in different rooms that have the same item in them. So if you open one of the chests, it'll actually open both chests. So like that chest that we just saw that was open, I didn't pick up that specific chest, but a chest that I opened in another room had the same item, so when I opened that other chest, it also opened that one. Which was really kind of weird, but kind of cool. Now this is where some of these are open already, but there are a lot of items in this room, and this is actually where the crown is, but we're going to go through. We're going to go into all the rooms, because in these games, like, the items are actually really important. Like, you get a lot of health items just from random pickups. You get a lot of good equipment that maybe you can't buy just yet through chests and dungeons. So, yeah, we'll continue on here. Alright, so I got poisoned a little bit in that battle. I actually have antidotes, which I like to use items first before I use magic, so that when I get to, like, the boss battles, I still have MP that I can use against them. So we're going to keep going, keep getting some items. Alright. Another box, some more gil. Yeah, and once you start getting into the actual dungeons, you actually start like finding gil in chests and stuff, so. Oh, I gotta heal. We're gonna use Fyra, because there's multiples. Yeah, I gotta heal up my monk. He's Darn near dead. But I don't expect the... They're not real. It's not really a boss in here. It's like an enemy that's more prominent later in the game that they just threw in here early as kind of like a boss. Oh. Oh, okay. And those also bring up good places to grind, too, because a lot of those places, like you'll see when the boss battle hits, it's not like you talk to somebody like some of the other bosses and then the boss comes out and you fight it. It's more like every time you enter that spot, you enter a battle with a certain enemy, and there can be any number of those enemies up to like, I think for the Pisca Demons, there can be anywhere up to like 5 or 7 or something like that. Copper armlet, I already bought all those that I need. But that spot, like, you can keep hitting that spot over and over again for more experience and for more gil if there's a good spawn there. But yeah, we're going to skip this real quick. Heal up a little bit. Because I'm pretty sure, like, this dungeon will be just long enough for one good episode. But the later dungeons I'll have to cut a bit more, because the encounter rates are higher, and they're just bigger dungeons and take longer to go through. Here we go. Alright, so this is the crown, and it can be anywhere from like 2 to like 5 or maybe 7 Pisca Demons, but luckily we only got 2. Because they're not that bad, but they do a lot of damage, like 56, that's quite a bit for him. So once we beat these guys, we have a couple more rooms to check for items, and then we'll be done with the dungeon. Yep. Alright, so we got the crown. And we just have, like I said, a couple more rooms to check here for a couple more items. Now these gray ooze, on the other hand, as opposed to like the green slimes, they actually take damage, so you can just attack them. More gil, which is awesome. Because as you keep going, obviously, like, stuff gets more and more expensive, especially the magic. But, like, Elfheim is really, like, the biggest grindy place because there's 2 sets of magic in that town with no previous dungeons with a lot of cool stuff you can get and sell. Because, like, not only are we getting a bunch of gil from a lot of the chests, but we're also getting equipment that we already have, which we can just sell when we get back to town. Yeah, so we're almost done with this. Oh, that one's already open. Alright, so that's all the rooms. So what I'll do is I'm just gonna... Well, I'll keep the video going for a little while. Because it's honestly kind of a short episode. So I'll keep it going until we get out of here. But yeah, like, I love this game. Like, one of the first games I ever played, was Final Fantasy VI. And I was probably, like... But it was Final Fantasy III for the NES back then. I was probably, like, 3 or 4 years old when my dad had it, and he was playing it on his Super Nintendo. And at, like, 3 or 4, I actually taught myself to read so I could play the Final Fantasy games. Like, because I saw him playing Final Fantasy VI, like, all the time, and it was one of our favorite games, and I'll be really excited when we play that on here, because I just love that game. And so I taught myself how to read so I could play Final Fantasy. Like, that's how important Final Fantasy has been for me. And I've just always loved these games. I started playing, like, not even a year ago. I tried to play through, like, start in the first one and just kind of play through all of them. And I got to 7. Yeah, I got to 7 pretty quickly. Like, this one, if I have a day where I'm not doing anything else, I can beat this game in a couple hours. And then for, like, the other ones, even 2 is fairly quick, depending on how much grinding you want to do, because that game is very grind heavy. But yeah, I beat them fairly quickly. I want to say in, like, probably 3 or 4 weeks. So about a month I had gone through 1 through 6. Because, like, I know this one really well. I know Final Fantasy 2 I'm kind of familiar with. Final Fantasy 3, not so much. Final Fantasy 4, I've played through quite a few times, but it's kind of been a while. But then Final Fantasy 5, I absolutely love. And I've really, like... If you guys know about, like, the class system in Final Fantasy V, you have jobs, and you get ability points for every battle that you fight. And with so many ability points, your job levels up, and you get new abilities, active abilities and passive abilities that, like, change the menu and the battle screens, and then passive abilities that just, like, give you extra HP. There are a couple where you can get more experience from battles or get more AP from battles, depending on what classes you master. But I played through Final Fantasy V, and, like, not at the end grinding, but, like, throughout the game, whenever I would get a new crystal and get a new set of jobs and, like, classes, I would master every class with every character before I moved on in the story. So by the time I got to the end and, like, fought the final boss and everything, I was so overpowered. Because there are, like, some really cool ability combinations that you can get that let your characters hit, like... Because in those games, like, you only hit once with a weapon. But you can dual wield if you master a certain class. And then if you master, like, a ranger class, they can do, like, multi-hit, which makes them hit a bunch of times in a row. So when you dual wield with multi-hit and everything like that, you can attack up to, like, 6 times in a row. But I kind of got to rambling and I forgot I was going to end the episode as soon as I got out of Marsh Cave. So we'll beat these guys here. I'm just going to do it quick because I have the MP. But yeah, so we have the crown. And so next it's really seriously kind of like a fetch quest. We're just going to be going around giving people certain things based on what we've already learned. Because, like, we give that guy in the castle the crown, and then he gives us something else, and then we go give that to somebody, and then they give us another item that we have to go give to somebody. So next episode is just going to be, like, pretty much the fetch quest episode. I'm going to make it move by pretty quickly because there is a lot, but because at the end we get, like, this key that lets us open up a bunch of locked doors that have been in some of the other dungeons we've been in already, but I've kind of skipped over them, but you'll see them. I'll show you all of them. But yeah, we'll save that for the next episode. The next episode I'll probably do a lot of like cuts and stuff just to show you, like, where all the items are that we need. But yeah, so that's been this episode of Final Fantasy 1, and I hope you liked it. Like, comment, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.